Is your homeschool day dragging on? Are your kids taking forever to get their schoolwork done? Well, today we're going to go over 6 tips to help your kids get their schoolwork done in a timely manner and how to help them stay focused during school. I'm Sarah and I'm a homeschooling mom to 4 kids, and if you've been following along, welcome back. If you're new here, my channel is all about homeschooling and mom life and a little bit of travel, so if that interests you, please consider hitting the subscribe button below so you don't miss any other videos. If you're like me and you like to have an efficient school day, one of the keys to having that happen is to have your kids stay on track and not get distracted. Squirrel! Which is pretty hard just in general, but especially if you have multiple kids at home, right? This might be one of the most frustrating things in our school day is when they're just dragging their feet, or if they're just bouncing off the walls and too silly to focus. So we've learned some things along the way that have really helped out in these situations. So let's get to it. Tip number 1, when it comes to independent work, like a worksheet or when they need to read on their own, we found that one of the best ways to motivate your child to get their work done in a timely manner is to use a timer. You could buy a cheap kitchen timer, or you could just use your phone, which is what I do, and set a reasonable amount of time for them to get their work done. Now, for the first time implementing this, if you're not sure how much time to set, you could start by using a stopwatch or stopwatch on your phone and time them and get them excited about this. You know, tell them, we're going to time you doing this and we're going to write it down, and then tomorrow we're going to see if you can beat your time. And if you do, you'll get a piece of candy or whatever you want to give them, because usually they like to try and beat their record. Now, even if you don't do that part, I would say for the first week of implementing this to pad the time with a little extra time so that hopefully when they beat that time, it gives them a little confidence boost and gets them on board with this system. Now, you can be gracious too. If you see that they've stayed focused and have worked diligently the whole time but still aren't getting it done in time, then just give them a few extra minutes and let them finish up. But if you saw that they were getting distracted and they weren't working diligently the whole time and they didn't finish in time, then don't let them get away with it, because we do want them to learn to respect the system. And then after the first week, you can set it to a more reasonable time as you see what they're capable of. Now, you'll need to set a reward for if they get it done in time and a consequence if they don't. Now, a reward could be something as simple as a 5-minute break, and a consequence could be something like 10 minutes off your screen time, whatever you want to do. Or what we do, and this goes into tip number 2, is we have a behavioral system. We call it the STAR system, and I'll link to that video above. And in the video, I explain it in more detail. But basically what it is they start the day with 5 stars. And each time they misbehave, they lose a star. And if they lose all their stars, they lose their iPads for the whole day. But whatever stars they keep throughout the week, at the end of the week, they get to go to the star store and buy a prize. So as a consequence with the timer, we would just take away a star. Now, of course, we still need them to finish that assignment, so even after giving a consequence, we would just set the timer again for a few extra minutes, whatever we think they need to finish the rest of the assignment. Tip number 2, having a behavior system for homeschool is extremely helpful in keeping your kids on task. I highly recommend checking out our video on the STAR system, and I'll link to it below as well. It can be hard to get our kids to stay focused during school, and it can be disruptive to be doling out our normal parenting discipline for every infraction during school. So having a separate way of handling your kids' bad attitudes or not getting their work done on time and not wanting to listen is a necessity for us. So if they're not wanting to sit back down after a break, I can threaten that they're going to lose a star, and they usually choose to go ahead and sit back down because nobody wants to lose their iPads. Tip number 3. Now, if it's a subject they really don't like, one thing you can do to motivate your child to get their schoolwork done is to make a chart where every time they complete a lesson, they get to check off each lesson they've completed. And when they get to the end of that list, they earn a big reward. For instance, my son hated learning to read. So we made a sticker chart with 30 spots on it. And once he completed 30 lessons, he got to go to this big play place that was a special outing for him. He was so excited about earning that reward that anytime he started to whine and not wanting to do his schoolwork, I would remind him, but when you finish this chart, you get to go to the play place, yay! And it would really help him settle and do the lesson with a better attitude. Tip number 4, let them take breaks every so often. A normal attention span is 3 to 5 minutes per year of your child's age. So if you're working with your kindergartner, you should give them a little break every 15 to 25 minutes. For my 3rd grader, I try to get him to stick it out to that full 40 minutes that his age should be able to handle, so our school time doesn't last too long. But honestly, that ends up backfiring, and it ends up being better to give him a break every 25 to 30 minutes, because then he comes back re-energized and recharged and ready to work again. And we usually just do like a 5 to 8 minute break. It's not too disruptive. We've let him go ride his bike outside, run around outside, play with his siblings, get those wiggles out, or sometimes he's just asked to lay on the bed. Tip number 5. Another way to get your kids to stay focused during homeschool is to let them suck on a Tic Tac or a sugar-free mint, or let them chew some gum while they're doing their schoolwork. It's like a fidget spinner that doesn't require their hands. It also acts as an incentive. My kids are extra motivated to get their work done if they get to have a mint while they're doing it. I actually picked up this tip from another homeschool YouTuber mama over at Everyday Blessings, so go check her out next. Tip number 6, and the last tip I have for you to help kids stay focused during homeschool, is to use headphones and put some white noise on. So either you could plug this into the computer and use YouTube. There's a video called Celestial White Noise on YouTube that we love. Or you could plug it into your phone and use the white noise app. But if you have multiple kids and your student is easily distracted, then this can be very helpful. That way it can drown out the noises around them and they can stay focused instead of having their focus pulled away every time something happens in the room. Or another way to accomplish this, and I picked this up from another homeschooling YouTube mama over at Our Thrifty Homeschool, you could use noise canceling headphones. If your student likes silence better than the white noise, then that would be a great alternative. Those are all the tips I have for you today. If you have another tip that works well for your child, please leave that in the comments below. I would love to get some more ideas. And please comment below which idea you're excited to try first with your child. And one of the greatest compliments you can give me is by subscribing and by liking this video by hitting the thumbs up below. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy schooling!